After weeks of confinement for a health emergency, the pickup in shades of green outside might seem unusually reassuring. If trees can help us heal emotionally, they can also affect our health in other ways, ways that will be increasingly important during years of climate change. That's one of the main reasons for a springtime effort by a group called Speak for Trees, which is dedicated to building up the city's urban canopy. We'd like to welcome its executive director and co-founder, David Meshoulam. Thank you very much for being with us, David.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. Great to see you again, Chris.
I want to start with the fundamental thing here. Urban canopy, what is that and why is that so important?
So urban canopy is really just a measurement. If you were to look from space in the middle of summer and count the percentage of Boston that's green, that's sort of how we define our urban tree canopy. And Boston's urban tree canopy hovers around 25% or so. I think there'll be a new study coming out sometime in the coming weeks where they've done a new analysis of, it's a little more specific, give us a nicer number, a more accurate number of the exact percentage of Boston that's green and where for the past couple of years we've gained canopy and where we've lost canopy. And the reason canopy is important is for so many reasons. We focus our work on the issue of tree equity when we think about canopy. And tree equity is a way of talking about why trees matter and the inequitable distribution of the benefits they give. And I'll just give you a few examples of why trees really matter for a healthy city. So trees do a couple of things really, really well. First of all, they make us really happy. And I think especially during this time of being isolated indoors or in our neighborhoods, it's really nice to see the trees in bloom. So trees have been shown to reduce stress, to improve health conditions, to actually reduce heart disease. But they also do things like filter our air. So places that have neighborhoods that have lots of trees have lower incidence of asthma. And that's been scientifically shown. Trees also reduce people's cooling and heating costs. So because trees do such a good job of shading, they actually work as air conditioners in neighborhoods and can cool entire neighborhoods. They also serve as wind blocks in the winter to reduce heating costs in the wintertime. And finally, trees do things like provide spaces for birds and other insects and other types of wildlife that I think just bring joy to our otherwise concrete city. So they're really sort of a powerful object that brings us so much joy and health.
Well, I haven't heard any claims yet that trees prevent COVID-19 or help us get over it. But there is one thing I'm wondering about, and do they have any effect on some of those other coefficients that show up when we see the maps of disparities in illness and maybe bad outcomes?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. I think there will be lots of studies after this all ends that will get a richer sense of the role that green infrastructure and trees in specific play in some of the inequitable health outcomes we've seen. I would not at all be surprised to see a correlation between fatality and lack of tree cover. And the reason I say that is pre-existing conditions seem to be one of those things that increase fatality rates with COVID-19 patients. And one pre-existing condition is the health of the lungs. And when you look at tree canopy coverage, one thing that trees do, like I said, is they filter our air. So communities that lack tree canopy coverage, those residents have higher incidence of asthma because the air is dirtier. So I wouldn't at all be surprised if we see a correlation here between trees in neighborhoods and people who are really struggling most with COVID-19.
Of course, the other thing that a canopy does is that it provides shade, right. It lowers the temperature. Looking down the line into climate change, what does that mean for people's health in Boston?
You know, we're going to be dealing with some serious challenges. And I think one of the primary things people think about, to your point, is heat. We're going to have hotter summers. We're going to have more sustained weeks of high temperature. And the thing about living in an urban area like this is that the infrastructure we have retains heat. So the concrete, rooftops, when we have long, hot days, those neighborhoods not only that lack trees not only have hotter days that can be unbearable and really unhealthy, but they also have hotter nights as those structures release heat back into the air. So we're going to have to find a way to deal with that. And I think trees are a really important part of our infrastructure. Cooling stations are important, right? Air conditioners are important, places where people can cool down. But again, a tree is the most important way where we can ensure that entire communities stay cool in the summertime. The other issue, yeah.
Go ahead, please.
No, one more issue we're going to face, and people don't think about this as often, is we're actually going to face wetter springs, and that can lead to flooding, whether it be residential flooding or basement flooding. And trees are really good at not only slowing down rainfall into our sewer system, but also in absorbing water so it doesn't enter your basement.
I look back at one of your projects, more or less reclaiming an unsightly vacant lot on Geneva Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
It looks as if this is also about people feeling more at home with their neighborhood and with each other.
So I think there are a couple of ways for us to talk about resiliency in the age of climate change and pandemic. And one of the most important ways is, how do we build a community where we take care of each other? I think we're seeing a lot of that right now with COVID-19. And one of the core parts of our mission is to bring people together, to people to reimagine their future, tree by tree, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, but to do it in a way that's honest to our civic discourse and honest to our democracy. I feel like in the past couple of decades, we as Americans have lost an opportunity to engage with each other in meaningful ways that are respectful, that are civically minded. And our work at its heart is as much about people connecting as it is about trees. We see trees as a way to bring people together and to build resiliency for our city, for our environment, but most of all for our communities.
Now, one of the things you do to advance that is you have a giveaway. This year, you can't have a bunch of people going to one place at one time and picking up trees, so you got to do this differently, right?
We are. We were really excited to be able to give away this year 150 trees from Amherst Nurseries. They were going to be big, beautiful 5-gallon trees, and we were going to have people to come together, and we're going to have food and music and laughter for Arbor Day, for Earth Day. And we clearly can't do that. So we've modified it, and we're doing tree deliveries. So what I'm going to be doing is getting about 50 trees instead of 150. We've pre-registered about 50 residents in Hyde Park. We're doing a really targeted giveaway this year. And we're going to be driving door to door, delivering trees to people in their front yards and then teaching them how to plant. Really thankful for Amherst Nurseries to being so flexible. And then the other part we're doing is we're working closely with Arbor Day Foundation, one of our partners on a national level. And Arbor Day is in 2 weeks, last Friday of April. And usually what people do is they get these little trees that are about 6 to 12 inches tall that come in a plastic bag, and you get them from your teacher, you get them at an event. We're doing something different. We're working with Arbor Day to actually mail people nice, big 1-gallon trees. And those are going to be about, I can't catch it on my screen, about a foot or two high. And we're encouraging people to sign up on our website to request a tree that we'll then mail to them. So we're still going to actually reach our target of 150 trees this year. Unfortunately, we won't do it in a community setting, but I think the idea is that we're bringing people something, a gift, right? This is a gift that will give back to you, that will connect you back to yourself, back to your community. And hopefully in a year or so, you'll be able to look at that tree again next Arbor Day and be thankful for all we've done together to build a strong, resilient community.
David, finally, if people want some more information about the organization, and especially if they want one of those trees, what's the best way for them to follow up?
So go to our website, and what we've done is if you wait 3 or 4 seconds on our website, you'll get a window pop up where you can see what we're doing right now and sign up to receive a tree. Our website is sfttbos.org. So that's S as in speak, F as in for, T as in the, and T as in trees. So sfttbos.org.